Okay, let's go over the new features of version 1.4 of Nanometer, my FL Studio MIDI-script for the nanoKONTROL2 MIDI controller. A lot of people appreciated the volume fine-tuning feature in the last version of the script. In version 1.4, fine-tuning works the same, except that it can now be used on all the controlled tracks in the mixer and not just the selected tracks. Hold the Set Marker button and move the slider for any of the 8 tracks inside the red marker rectangle in the mixer. This will apply fine-tuning for the control track as long as the Set Marker button is being held. You may of course still use the track buttons to fine-tune the selected track. This time I've put a lot of effort into improving the controls for the channel rack. As usual, you may step between the selected channels by using the marker buttons. Pressing the Set Marker button will still open the plugin window of the selected channel, but it can now also open the sampler window for the sample channels and the automation editor for channels containing automation. The panning of the selected track can be changed by turning the leftmost knob. The second knob will control the volume of the selected track. The third knob will change the targeted mixer track. And the fourth knob will control the channel pitch. Soloing and muting the selected channel is done in the same way as before by pressing the leftmost solo and mute buttons. As an alternative to controlling the selected channel, you may also control the panning, volume, soloing and muting of up to 8 channels simultaneously. Press the left track button to activate the channel rectangle marker. The channel marker will indicate the channels that are currently assigned to the 8 control groups on the nanoKONTROL. Each of the marked channels can now be controlled the same way as the mixer, meaning that the knobs control the panning, the sliders control the volume, and the solo and mute buttons will toggle the solo and mute of each respective channel. To move the channel rectangle, press the marker arrow buttons. The channel marker can also be moved by selecting a channel by clicking on it and then pressing the Set Marker button. Please note that while the channel rectangle marker is active, the knobs and buttons assigned to the selected channel will be temporarily disabled. If you want to use these again, the rectangle marker can be disabled by pressing the left track button. The channel rectangle can be enabled at any time with the press of a button, but you may also set it to be enabled by default with the new Channel Rect Control config option. By default, the knobs, sliders, solo, mute and rec buttons can be linked while the script is running. To create and use links in the mixer, channel rack and playlist modes, the cycle button must be pressed at the same time as the controller you want to link. Alternatively, you may enable the controller link mode option in the config, which will add an extra mode that allows linking directly without using the cycle button. This behavior still applies to version 1.4. Now let's go through the new stuff. There's a new config option called Link Overriding. If you enable it, all the modes will behave the same as the controller link mode, meaning that you can create links directly without using the cycle button. While this may sound like a great idea, it also means that you might break the functionality of the script by overriding one or more of its built-in functions with a link. I also added another config option called Transp BTN Link. Enabling this option makes it possible to use the transport buttons for linking. In some cases, this will disable the normal functionality of the transport buttons, so don't use these features unless you're sure of what you're doing. Now let's take a look at the controller link mode. This is still disabled by default, so let's enable it and see what's changed. To make things easier, the script can now create global links to the last tweaked parameter. The advantage of a global link is that it is always present in all projects and it will link to the target of the selected channel rather than a specific target in the project. In this case, let's link the LFO in Citrus to one of the knobs on the nanoKONTROL. Start by moving the LFO with the mouse. To create the link, hold down the Set Marker button and turn the knob you want to link the LFO to. The Record button on the nanoKONTROL will flash briefly to indicate that the link was established successfully. The knob is now linked and will control the LFO in Citrus in the selected channel. To make it easier to change between instruments, the marker arrow buttons can now be used to change the selected channel in the channel rack. In this case, I have Citrus in 2 channels. As you can see, it is easy to switch back and forth between them and control the LFO in both by simply changing the selected channel. The nanometer script has evolved quite a bit since the first release. There are a lot of button combinations used by the script, and even I can sometimes struggle to remember them all. To make things easier, I have created a cheat sheet document that contains a comprehensible list of all the buttons and what they're used for. This document can be opened inside a web browser, and it's also printer friendly in case you want to print it, frame it and hang it on your wall. I get a lot of positive comments and feedback about my script. It's stuff like that that keeps me going. The development and support actually takes up a huge chunk of my personal time, which means that I don't get as much time as I'd like to spend on creating music. If you find my script useful and would like to support a struggling developer like myself, then please consider buying me a cup of coffee. The link is in the video description. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching.